Welcome back to Mostly Solo, and another unboxing arrived just today, so hot off the presses, and the boat, and the postman. This is Solar Sphere. Look how small this box is. Look. Yes, there's an expansion underneath, but look. No huge, great big box here. Fantastic. This is by Dranda Games. Now, they did another solar-related game called Solar Storm. And that was a kind of disaster management on a spaceship. People, little men moving around, trying to stop things from getting damaged and trying to repair them to the point where they could escape the ship. Fantastic, very tense, pretty tough. And this is their latest one. Again, another solar theme. So first of all, if you've seen anything of my other unboxings, you'll know how much I love a playmat, and this one is lovely. Now, it is not stitched around the edge, and it is thinner than I think it is I think it might be a 2mm, or it might be a 3mm. But it's lovely and wide. We have the solar disc, I guess, there. Lots of places for cards. What I particularly like about this one is that the areas for the cards are not overly saturated. They're not kind of punching out at you. You can see them clearly, and I think you can see them clearly on the video as well, but I can see them clearly, but they're not really punching out, so it kind of still feels like a lovely mat. It's a great size too, so fantastic. We have a mat. So let's have a look at the game itself. Solar Sphere in its tiny little box. 60 to 20 minutes, age 13 plus, and 1 to 4 players. This is the Kickstarter edition, so this is a Kickstarter delivery that's just arrived. Linen finished rulebook. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, linen finished. That's unusual. I'm not sure I like it. I mean, I get that it feels a little bit more plush, perhaps. But I think I'd rather have a satin smooth finish, but with a little bit of extra weight in the paper, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure linen, because it kind of flattens the darks a little bit too much for my liking. That's personal taste. There's no criticism of them. That's just a choice. And I find it visually, so I'm looking at this now from a slight angle like that. There's a little bit of reflection of the light, and it kind of confuses my eyes a bit. But I don't like games that are really busy, that have a lot of things going on visually. Things that aren't necessarily relevant to the games. So it's an interesting way in which a game might transition from being visually busy, but most of that busyness relates to actually playing the game, whereas others can be very busy in a with elements that aren't specifically game related, and just there for the visual appeal. And I find that less appealing. I find my eyes are focused on the wrong things, and I'm fishing around for the information that I want. And one of the things that I want more than anything on a board game is to be able to very quickly assess the board state. Anyway, that's just me. Maybe you're the same. I don't know. So, enough about that. The rulebook is 24 pages. Quick reference at the back. Thank you very much. That's what we like. A little bit of dice placement. A little bit of token movement. Now, I know a lot of people, when they back a Kickstarter, they will thoroughly read the rulebook. They will play the digital version that might be available for play testing. I don't do any of that, because firstly, I find learning a game within a digital environment where the digital environment is trying to simulate an actual table. I find that just overwhelming. I find it very difficult to actually learn a game that way. And that, unfortunately, It leaves me out from a lot of playtesting opportunities of new games and designers, because that's primarily where, particularly early on in a concept, where they want to actually just get people playing the game early on. I'm okay if I'm being taught the game, but if I'm working just from a digital manual and a digital board and digital pieces, no. And I find, again, going back to the idea of being able to assess the board state, I find that very difficult digitally. Even though I have large screens and I use computers a great deal, I'm staring at a screen most of my days, most of my working days. But maybe that's the problem, right? Maybe I want to get off these things. Maybe I don't want to be sat at my desk with the same screens that I am staring at all day. Right. Okay, well, there's the manual. We'll have to see how good it is when we have a read through. We all have some pieces. Now, something interesting about that, I'm going to come back to that. We have a custom die with numbers on, rather than pips. They kind of feel a little more thematic, don't you think? A whole bunch of coloured dice there, some more coloured dice. So these are transparent, and these are solid. We have different shapes here in different colours. I'm going to suggest that's player related. These look like resources. They look like the kind of resources you would get in other games. Or maybe stone or iron or something like that. Or ore. You never know. Yeah, right. You know, there are asteroids here, so there may be some kind of ore going on. We have a little bag of clearly player tokens of different kinds. Markers. These funny little cogs. All right. Let's see what that's all about. Why, look, there are recessed boards here. Standard cube tokens, plastic cube tokens, semi-transparent, like you will see in any number of games. Which is fine. I'm good with that. We all know them. We don't all love them. Cards. Let's skip to the boards first of all. A little punch board of tokens. Oh, this is interesting because it's quite a nice. Can you see the? I don't know if you can see the curve on. I'll try and see the light. See how curved they are. They push through the punch board. It's going to have a nice feel about it. There is a nice. Oh, there's one loose already, so I'll pull that out. Yeah, that feels good. The tactile quality of the game for me is very, very important. Let's push that out of the way. So we have multi-layered boards here. Which is always encouraging and always exciting. And we have two areas where there's something in between, so I'm going to guess that tokens are pushed. There's a little arrow pointing to the right, so little tokens are pushed through. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Terraforming Mars does that, right? Dice placement. Here we are with the cog shapes. I'm going to come back to those. You'll see why in a minute. Oh, we do have a tab. Look at that. But I can't actually grab hold of it. There we go. Nice linen finish on there. Goals. Goal 3, goal 4. These look like ships. And fairly abstract shapes on this one, perhaps. It's a solo opponent, perhaps. some kind of semi-random action selection. I may well be proved completely wrong. Now here's the disadvantage of me not playing the digital version while the Kickstarter is running is, as you may have seen with some of the other unboxings recently that I've done, is I have very little clue what's going on when I actually finally get it. And frankly, with so many of the Kickstarters, by the time they actually turn up, and this one wasn't that bad, by the time they turn up I probably would have forgotten it anyway. Well, he's got a nice smile. Don't you think? What a handsome chap. Okay, aliens, maybe they are mercenaries, maybe they are characters that will help us out. It looks like there's a resource trade-off going on there and here. So they give you some ability, perhaps. Lovely artwork, I must admit. I'm impressed with it. It's not too cartoony. For the most part, I don't like too cartoony artwork, particularly in sci-fi. It is not too, so there's kind of a little bit of a fantasy feel about it, but it is in style, but it is definitely sci-fi. Very nice artwork. Card quality is on the thicker side. It would actually take quite a bit to bend that, but feels nice. We'll have to see how much handling they have, whether they're going to be sleeved or not. That's yet to be determined. All right, these pieces here. Now, as you can probably guess by looking at this card, these pieces are put together to form the sun. So we get these various pieces. I may not be putting the numbers correctly. I'm definitely not putting the numbers correctly. But let's not worry about that. So as we'll go around, and these pieces will create the board in the center here. Now what happened was there was an email from Duranda Games a short while ago saying that they had discovered that some of these punchboard elements were not up to scratch in some cases, and therefore they were going to provide replacements. Good on them. I'm a great believer that mistakes happen, we're all human, but it's how you deal with the mistakes that actually tells you something, particularly about a company. So we have that bag inside, and I don't know what the actual problem was, maybe a misalignment of the cutters or something, but what they have done is, in the box was this, which contains a whole set of replacements. So what's interesting about it, this is smaller pieces, right? And so that if we look at the other ones, we've got much wider arcs going on, and here we have much smaller ones. Makes it a little more fiddly to set up, I guess. So I'll be interested to go through these and kind of work out what it is that they have fixed, where the problem is. So it kind of intrigues me. But the company is to be commended for just getting that problem sorted out without holding off and waiting for people to complain, because they did say that not everybody has the problem, whatever it might be. So they just went away and fixed it. Good on you, Duranda Games. Very well done. Before we get to the expansion, let's have a look at a little packet here, which I'm going to guess is, looks like some deluxe components. Little wooden pieces. They're all a little bit printed and shaped a little differently. Ships maybe. Quite chunky on the thickness, so quite robust. Not in player colours, interestingly enough. So 1 to 4 players, but there is 5 of them. This is Launch Crew and Additional Resistance Ships mini expansion. Oh, it's an expansion. Mini expansion, right. So I don't know whether this might be a Kickstarter exclusive or not. There we go. And there's a little rulebook for it. Additional Launch Crew, so that'll be obviously giving us some kind of starting bonus. I'm going to guess, right? I'm going to guess. Probably said enough about that now. So again, these cards are nice. Additional goals. How exciting, right? We have the expansions, plural. How about that? Not just one expansion. And this one, it quotes, goes to 1 to 5 players. So obviously part of the expansion extends the game into 5 players. So there will be an additional player board. What else do we have? Expansions rulebook. Now you see, this one is not linen finished, and I much prefer this on a rulebook. I much prefer the feel, and it has less visual noise for my poor little brain to cope with. Pink dice. How about that? And some player pieces, I'm going to guess. So pink maybe is the 5th player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yellow, blue, red, black, pink. Some more of those pieces. And a couple of little extra ones as well. Random tokens. No idea what they're for. No, that's a slightly different silicon, you know. Like you're interested in the design of the silicon packet. Pink cubes. Again, that's the 5th player. And some more punchies. I guess they would have to have rebalanced a couple of the tiles to make it appropriate for the 5th player. Obviously playable, we've seen that. And this is the White Dwarf, and I seem to remember a piece of, and I've covered it all up, which is really useful. I need to remember. There we go. You can just see that. So clearly that sits over there. Some cards. I'm making a mess again, right? I'm making a terrible mess. Nice consistent cardstock feel. These are kind of robot-y things. Again, clearly have some ability. This looks like this use a repair action. Oh, some kind of shippy things. All right. And some more of these kind of abstract things. So yeah, I'm still guessing those are your automated opponent if you're playing solo. Right, in amongst all this mess, there we go. Literally arrived today, the 28th of October 2022. It's arrived this afternoon. I thought I would get this straight out so you can have a look at it. I'm very excited about it. And I hope it's going to be a great deal of fun to play, both solo and with some real people. So thank you once again for watching. Thank you for sticking with it right the way through. Please do leave a like, and please do subscribe if you want to see more of these and some more of the other content that I'm producing on this particular channel. It really does help if you do so. And I will see you again very, very soon for some more unboxings and playthroughs.